Hey, it's Beth coming at you live from my closet. Um, Wanted to do something a little bit different today. We'll be working on a drawing, as you can see. Specifically, I'm designing a character. My own character, I can't say his name, Arisishthon. Ooh, I did it without stumbling. That's a first. Anyways, we'll be designing him. He's going to go along with the Reap What You Sow story. I won't talk about him too much so I don't give anything away in the story. But I had just realized I wrote this story in 2018 and I'd never drawn Airy ever. I had a vague picture of him in my head, but I never gave him a design. So today that's what we're figuring out. Right now I'm scribbling his face, trying to make him not look like sexy anime boy because that's my default, and I'm I just don't picture him, sexy. He's this huge, tall, bulky dude and just long, squarish face. That's just how I always picture him. His main features that I didn't want to change because they were the only features I had in my head for him. Purple skin, his squarish face, and a hood that covers up his face. Mainly his eyes, you can see his mouth, but yeah, just that's his outfit, is a hood that covers his face. But I'm designing his face here anyway so that any parts that might peek through or what have you, I just want to be able to describe them in my story. When Cain and Abel meet Airy, they have to, they're gonna see him, so I have to be able to describe him, and I can't just go, big purple guy who's not Thanos. So, yeah, anyway, here I am trying to sketch him with his hood on. It was looking a little feminine, and I kept making his face look too, short and squashy, and I'm I don't want him to look cutesy. He's supposed to be big, manly dude, because he's a really powerful Reaper. I don't have it, solid in my head, because 2018 me didn't, write about this, but, he's in charge of something. He oversees a big section of this Reaper, business, community, whatever you want to call it. He's been in it a long time, so he really knows what he's doing, and that's why he mentors Cain and Abel. He is the best at what he does. And at this very moment, I'm still trying to think, how did Cain and Abel wind up with this really impressive guy as their mentor? Because I imagine a guy like this would be very busy. But for some reason, he's he sees Cain and Abel, or kind of hears about them loosely as they're coming into Rotco, and I don't know, something has to come into play where he's these boys, I think I should be the one to train them, he has to be able to see their potential, I would assume. So yeah, some of that might not get fully explained in the story because, like I said, I'm doing my best to kind of rewrite some parts because my old writing isn't as good as I thought it was, because I thought I reread it recently and I was oh yeah, that writing's good. But as soon as I started narrating, I kept stumbling over all the words, and I don't know what it is with me, using too many words in a sentence. You know what I mean? I ended up with so many tongue twisters. That's not a joke. That's why I ended up rewriting stuff, because I'm this is so complicated, and I don't even know if this will be, make sense to listen to, because there were parts I didn't go into, explaining, what realm are they in, and why are they there, and what are these festivities. I didn't even loosely explain. I just threw you into the setting, and you got no backstory on Cain and Abel. Without the pictures, I don't think you even would have known they were a zombie. But anyways, so back to the drawing. I'm finally picking some colors here. And I mean, I knew I was going in with purple, but I was trying to decide what shade do I want, because I don't want him to be pastel, but I don't want him to be too gray either. Because I picture Cain and Abel, they're more of the gray purpley skin tone, whereas Aerie is has a bit more lively color scheme. Speaking of which, if you saw on my little reference pictures, for Aerie, I had in mind one of those abyssal fish. I love their glowing spots and then their really dark skin. I thought that would suit him well. It kind of gives him this ominous yet almost alluring appearance in terms of just like, just having like those glowing spots and just like being illuminated. It would look very, I don't want to say pretty because he's not pretty, but just like that kind of awe-inspiring thing, like he's creepy but he looks like really kind of cool, and that's somebody I want to follow. Like I want someone like that to train me. So that was what I kind of had in mind when I was sketching him here. I have this thing sped up and it's not going as fast as I thought it would. And I kind of start to work on his anatomy here. I only recently have started to feel a little confident in my ability to draw the male figure. Obviously, it's still not perfected, nor will it ever be. But yeah, I was struggling with that for a little bit, and then I think I go to focus on his face for a while. But yeah, I'm looking forward to writing or kind of updating Aerie's introduction. I just personally think he's kind of a cool character, and I hope like you'll like him as well. I guess I could explain him a tiny bit, or at least also kind of like where they're at in the story, because I try to make it clear that Drundel is the name of the realm that Cain and Abel are in. But I don't know, I was re-listening to it, I'm like, man, I don't know if that was clear enough or not, but I also don't want to like pound it into the reader's head like, this is a city they're in. I don't know, so I just threw it in there, and I'm like, maybe they'll know what I'm talking about, maybe they won't, oh well. So this realm is not super developed because, as I've said, I'm basing this on a story I wrote in 2018, and I really needed a video for last week, and so I didn't have time to do a ton of world building. I just fed in a little more backstory, and just filled it out a little bit so you kind of got a feel for the characters better, and then I named the realm. So that was the extent of my world building. But the whole thing is encased in something. In my stories I have going, I have something called the Outer World, which I do bring up in the first chapter, which is essentially the underworld, but like in my head, like it's bigger, and it's I call them fragmented realms, like they're realms within realms within realms, because if people are dying all the time and you have to have a place to store all these souls, like it's just gonna grow infinitely. So Drundel is part of those layers of the outer world, and the lukewarm soul thing, they are like free wanderers, sort of, like they didn't lead an extravagant life or do a bunch of good deeds that would get them into heaven, but they weren't evil, so they didn't go to hell. So they're kind of just given this place, like, here you go, you have access to these fragmented realms here in the outer world, like you can go wherever you please within these limits. There you go, you can do that for eternity. Or like with the Reaper job, lots of lukewarm souls eventually, like, they find some kind of occupation in the outer world. Sorry, I did not mean to click my tongue like that. So yeah, occupations, or if you're lucky, like, you can like get your hooks in to a higher up realm, like, you know, you get in an occupation and you kind of level up, if you will, and then the lower gods might start to notice you, and they might like help you find your way into the more well-established realms, and then you can raise your rank, like, because I picture like a soul, like you might have more magic ability, or like with Cain and Abel, they were died. Oh my gosh. When they died, and they came back as these sort of zombie things, like they're a soul, but like they were reborn into bodies, sort of, you know, like they have a physical form in these outer realms. So they were given a new persona, basically. It's hard to explain. Like, they're themselves, but they're not what they used to be. And that's another thing I don't really have an explanation for yet. Like, why does that happen? Like, when you die and you're turned into these different beings when you're in the outer realm. I don't know. Or the outer world, excuse me. Again, in my head, I picture, like, it has something to do with, again, a soul. It might be a little more celestial. And to me, when you're celestial, you have some kind of power, something more, like more open and available to you to use. So maybe it alters your form in some way when you're just a soul, or like you need a physical form, and so your body transforms into something that would suit you, or suit your personality, what have you. So that's what I have for that. Oh my gosh, where was I going with that? Oh, Drundle. So all that little explanation out of the way, that's what Drundel is. It is a realm for these lukewarm souls. These people who want to just live their lives, like they just live normal lives. They don't have to like work a job or whatever, like, because it is the afterlife. I don't think it's something imperative that they would have to do. Excuse me. So that's Drundel. And as far as like Rotko being in this sort of shadowy part of the realm, in my head I kind of picture maybe that's where one of those fragmented lines are, like it almost slips over into another realm itself, but it's still connected to Drundel in a way. Because once they get into Rotko, at least in the old story, I mentioned more than once that the walls were made of charcoal, so I'm going to try and, like, have some significance behind that. Like, why is this part of the realm now, like, you know, charcoal-y? Like, what does that have to do with reapers and stuff? And I probably won't dive in too deep into what Rotko is. I just... random name for a reaper company. That's basically all I have. I'm sure there's something bigger going on behind the scenes, but that's not my focus for this story. My focus is Cain and Abel's story and them growing as Eri teaches them how to use these new powers and how to be not necessarily powerful reapers, but like good reapers, like doing the right thing and how to reap souls, you know, because with Eri, he has a good set of morals, despite his really spooky look going here. I'm not sure why this is, like, paused. Okay, there we go. Anyways, I feel like he fights for the weak, the innocent. He'll get justice for those who can't get it for themselves. He's a protector. So, and that ties in with his Reaper ability, because Reapers can go bad, they can misuse their power, and that's when Eri will take it upon himself, or the new trainees he brings in, like, teach them, you know, if this is what some of the Reapers are doing, like, it's unfortunate, but we have to take them out. You have to reap their soul, because they're throwing life out of balance when they carelessly reap souls that are like ahead of their time. And so, you know, he's the type who gets very passionate, like a good passionate angry when it comes to people being wronged, and he steps in and will fight for them if they can't fight for themselves, or he will step in and teach them how to defend themselves and be a stronger person. That's just the type of character I see him as at the moment. Very wise, very powerful. And I don't know how old he is, like how long has he been around, how long has he been a Reaper, no one really knows, but I'm feeling like some people even think he may have started this business, maybe not Rotko specifically, but like bringing in new Reapers and being around long enough that he might even have connections to some of the gods. Because he is powerful enough, he could easily leave this lukewarm realm and become someone more important. But he feels his duty he has now is already important. And he worries, like, if he let someone else step in, like, they wouldn't take it as seriously as he does. So it'd have to be someone he trusted and, like, saw the good in them, you know, like, I feel like I trust you and, like, you can take my place and I can move on to other places. But even then, he may not want to do that because he's just very involved in taking care of other people. And I feel like, again, Eri isn't super developed. These are just the loose ideas I have in my head for him. I picture him as sort of the warrior type, like maybe before some of this Reaper stuff he did have some kind of, what would it be called? Not warrior training, but you know, like he has that skill set. Like before being a Reaper, he's learned some of those things. Which is another reason why he's so good at what he does and how he can take out most other Reapers, because all Reapers are gifted power once they take on this job. And that power comes with responsibility, and if you abuse it, you can be sure Eri will find you and take you out. So that's like his main thing he has going on. I have some other, you know, again, very loose ideas for his character in the future, but nothing's set in stone yet. He's definitely cool enough, like I want to use him for other stories too, but for now his place is in Reap What You Sow. Ooh, look how far I've gotten. Yeah, the anatomy still needs help, but it's coming along. It wasn't intentional, his fin ears. I just wanted them to look like the glowy fins that that abyssal fish had, but as I kept going, and you'll see once I'm finished with the piece, it almost looks like old man hair, which at first I wasn't sure I liked, but then I felt like it just made sense with all the knowledge and power that Eri possesses. Like, he probably is an old man. Maybe not physically, but, you know, he has that, again, that persona. So, and again, I don't like fully have everything for him done yet, character development wise. So, and like I said, this was my first time actually drawing him. So with his new design, I feel like he'll have some extra abilities of some kind. And I'm not quite sure what those are yet. I'll probably throw some lore, some whatever, backstory when I start doing some rewriting for the next upcoming chapters of Reap What You Sow. Because I feel like each Reaper, again, has their power is kind of unique to them, Like, it has this base, this is what your Reaper powers are, but then it grows with you as a person, and, like, the power transforms into your power. So that being said, I'm sure Aerie has some special things going on with his abilities, but I do not know what they are yet. I always do this. I'm just gonna dive right in and, you know, start rewriting stuff, and I don't even have all of it figured out yet. But whatever. If I sit around and plan forever, which is, you know, what happened to my flip story, it just doesn't get done. Or I, for example, with flip, I have planned it to death, and I know how it goes, I know how it ends, but it still is like missing something. I almost planned it too much to where there's no wiggle room in terms of me, like, filling out the story a little bit more. You know, in certain areas, like, nope, I already have that set in place, that set in place, and I can't change those, because if I do, it'll throw off my whole story, and then I'll be up shit creek. But, anyways, that being said, maybe it's a good thing that I'll sort of be writing from the seat of my pants with this story, and not entirely, because, like I said, I do have a kind of a base story written down, as well as kind of an outline. Like, for Reap What You Sow, I do know how it ends, but there's definitely a few chunks that I'm gonna have to fill in story. Like, you know, I don't have all of it written down where I know everything for this story, which is good, because that kind of gives me wiggle room to, you know, write the story the way I want it to write it. And if I'm thinking with my flip example, having such limited wiggle room because I planned so much, I'd have to uproot, like, the entire story and rewrite a bunch of backstory for characters, and oh, that would just be a mess. That would be a disaster. I don't even want to think about that. I put way too much time into flip for me to already hate it. But this isn't about flip. This is about Reap What You Sow. I hope to bring in a little lore from some of the mythology I've been writing. It ties in a little bit with Reap What You Sow. I don't think this would be giving anything away. I have a god named Cephtus. He is, like, god of the entire outer world. I feel like his name sounds like, what is it, sepsis? It's not that. Cephtus is a name, and it means eternal death, I believe. Which, you know, does why I picked him for the god of the entire outer world. He rules the dead. So yeah, he's brought up very briefly in Reap What You Sow, but not him specifically, like, just his name is brought up, and you're kind of like, oh, Cephtus, who's that guy? Well, Beth spoiled it for you, so now you know. That is, if you've listened to this little backstory, I guess, on some of my writings. I can't help but just kind of story dump sometimes. Like, I just find it kind of fun to talk about. Maybe I'll put a little spoiler warning in the description or something. Not like anyone reads the descriptions of YouTube videos, but it will be there. Not like anyone's eagerly awaiting the full length story I have for this, but in case you are, there you go. Spoiler warning, that's way too late because the video's almost done. It will be in the description. Which would be cool if people would read the descriptions, but I guess I don't always do that either. I just ramble and have extra disclaimers and shit in my description. But this isn't about my description, this is about Aerie, who is about done being drawn. I had a lot of fun designing him, and I really like this new look. I think it suits him. Yeah, so I can't wait to write about him again, just because I have this whole new theme for him. and he'll have all these new add-ons probably in terms of, again, his abilities and whatnot. So yes, here he is. I have an extra sketch on there that I drew without you. I'm sorry. There's only so much drawing I can do, like, on the iPad, and, like, have it recording. I don't know. Like, I know no one's watching me as I'm recording it in that moment, but, like, it just feels like it is, and then sometimes I can't focus because I get a little stressed, like, oh no, people are watching me even though they aren't. But yeah, that's the end of this video. I hope you liked some of this little backstory we had, some of this talk about Eri. It was fun to talk about him. I enjoy talking about my characters, as I'm sure any author does. So if you'd like to see more videos like this, maybe I'll do more, or if I don't get any feedback, totally fine. I'll probably just do more of this stuff anyway. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.